Hi everyone, Babula and I are back with you again for the new moon in Pisces. And as you can see behind us, we've chosen our virtual backgrounds to reflect the energy of Pisces. And it's very calm and it's soothing and watery. And Babula, you've got some fun stuff going on behind your head. Would you like to show everyone? Isn't that cool?
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
This is, of course, a Michael Leunig cartoon, which I only came across quite recently. An astrologer friend online shared it in a post he was sharing about Pisces, and I just fell in love with it instantly.
It's so fun. It's a lot of fun, yeah, and it's creative and watery.
And it's so whimsical. You know, I love the whimsy of it. It's just delightful.
Yeah. So, and it's, I guess these two images are a reflection of the Piscean energy, which is very calming and soothing. And some people might be looking for things to soothe them at the moment. Do you think, because of that energy?
Definitely. And of course, the sun's in Pisces now through until the 20th of March. And it is that energy that, of course, we have to allow for everything else that's happening with the planets, because there are other things that are quite stimulating, but there's this background energy of soothing, calm waters. And if we can tap into that, you know, and make space for relaxation, for quiet, for, you know, connecting with the water, with the seas, with the ocean, you know, both of our images reflect that so well. And, you know, beautiful music. I've been playing a lot of beautiful music. It just changes everything for me. You know, it's like that beautiful song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, by that beautiful Hawaiian man who died a few years ago. Gorgeous, you know, that kind of music is very, and any kind of spiritual music or chants, or just play it, have it on around you during this time. You know, it's so uplifting and it connects with our heart and soul and changes the energy like very, very quickly. I know that's true for me. I'm getting stressed and uptight, or there's a lot going on.
Well,
it changes everything.
I know that song very well because when I went to Hawaii for 3 weeks, it was playing everywhere, and I mean everywhere. So after 3 weeks, I'd had enough.
You'd had enough, yes.
I'd had enough of it.
You can absolutely overdo a song.
Yeah. But
That's right.
As soon as we got into the airport, it was playing, and it was on the shuttle buses to the hotel, and you know, around the place. It was everywhere.
That's beautiful too, isn't it? Because they did love him so much. He was so beloved and so appreciated, and I love that they've. But yes, you would get tired of it if you couldn't get away from it. Any song, you know, any favourite song, play it 20, 30 times. We don't want to hear it again for years.
So with this new moon in Pisces, that energy of peace and calming, it's like we can sort of go phew and have a bit of a break with that Saturn squaring Uranus in the background going through the whole year, which is basically shaking everything to the core. And I had a giggle this morning when a friend of mine in New Zealand sent me a message and said, oh, one of my built-up teeth just fell off and I have to go to the dentist. And I said, well, that'll be Saturn squaring Uranus, because Saturn is the skeleton, you know, covers the teeth and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
that's right. And Uranus has a tendency to break things, you know. It changes things in an instant.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've also got, as a background to all of this as well, Mars is in Gemini now for about 7 weeks. And Mars, a planet of high, and we'll get back to the new moon in Pisces, but Mars as a high energy planet that urges us to take action, you know, to make decisions, to go forward, to express ourselves. You know, it's fiery, it's feisty, it has a certain aggression even to it. We may not always be comfortable with that word, but it's true about Mars. In Gemini, he's really stimulating our mental energies, our mind, our communication. So I'm already seeing it around me. I'm seeing in certain situations that have already been a bit fraught, you know, certain relationships, couples, relationship dynamics, even within families, parents, children, whatever. if it's already a bit fraught and Mars comes into Gemini, it just sets it off, and people get into this kind of argumentative battle of words kind of dynamic. But so that's quite a lot of energy, you know, with the background of Uranus square Saturn.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. There's always, like, it's never simple. I'm always posting things on Facebook about what's currently happening, but that's just that's one piece of the story, because also at the same time there's this and this and this happening. So it's complicated. You know, life is complicated.
It's how it all blends together, isn't it?
How it all. That's right.
And what becomes dominant through the blend.
Exactly.
Yes.
Any point or on any given day, you know, one of those energies will be absolutely getting activated or triggers something in our own chart or comes to the fore, and bam, there it is. So, so there's always many different things going on. So, you know, we try in these chats to kind of include all of it to some degree, but it can get a little bit confusing and complicated for people who aren't used to the astrological, you know, language and way of understanding things.
So with this new moon in Pisces, tell us a bit more about that. With this break we sort of get, I guess, from that chaotic energy into coming a bit calmer.
Yeah. So with a new moon, of course, every month we have the new moon, and it occurs when the sun, which is moving at a certain speed, the moon comes behind it and catches up with it. Now that happens like every, 28, 29 days. The sun and the moon come together in the sky, and it's dark that night for about 3 or 4 nights. There's no moon because the moon is traveling with the sun and goes down. Every evening when the sun goes down, the moon goes down too, and there's no moon that night. So every new moon in each subsequent sign is an absolute marriage of the principle of the sun and the moon. And so the energy of that sign is emphasized. Now, this one is in Pisces, has a double dose of Pisces energy because the planet Neptune, which is the Piscean planet, if we like, Pisces is the seas and the oceans, Neptune is the god of the seas and the oceans, the ruling planet of Pisces, is at 20 degrees of Pisces, and the new moon, the sun and the moon are at 23. And Venus is also right there. I'm going to give you a little visual of it, so this may be helpful for some people. Like I don't know if that's going to work with the background. No, it's not. Ooh, what's happened? No, that's not going to work.
That's okay. They're all together. Oh, there you go.
Up to the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Whoa, that's very strange, isn't it? But they're all there. The sun, the moon, Neptune, and Venus are all there in a really close combination. If we could see them, and we can't because they're all close to the sun, so we're not going to see them in the day or the night. They just won't be visible. They would all be lined up like this together. And so Venus is exalted in Pisces, Neptune rules Pisces, the new moon is in Pisces. It's like Pisces oceanic energy.
Overload.
Overload, overwhelm is probably a good word, overwhelm. And so over those few days around the dark of the moon, the dark phase of the moon, when all this is happening in the sign of Pisces, I highly suggest and recommend, and I always modify that, of course, with your circumstances allowing. Sometimes it's just really difficult to manage this because there is a lot of things going on in your world at the time. But like, if you can look, so the date of the new moon, of course, is on the 13th of March. So if it's at all possible to take some time out, I know I say this, and I know some people are able to do it, and they do follow and track these cycles and go, yep, I'm crossing those couple of days out of my diary. Brilliant. I'm going away to the beach for a couple of days. Fantastic. If you can't, even just making a little bit of space, going to bed early, making space to, listen to music, do deep relaxation processes, listen to meditation tapes, do meditation if you are a regular meditator, anything, because that's how we can make the most of this energy, because if we don't, we're going to feel overwhelmed, absolutely like we're drowning. We can literally feel as though there's a tidal wave coming at us and we're caught in a tidal wave. We don't know which way is up, which way is down. Remember as a kid, we used to go to the beach at Noosa regularly. I was very lucky as a kid to be able to do that often with my family, who have, strong family roots in Noosa. And I remember as a little kid being caught in the dumpers, and just being really little and just like, oh, it's quite terrifying because these huge waves take you and turn you around. You don't know when you're going to come up for air. So it can feel like that with this energy. It can feel like we're drowning in just the overwhelm of so much happening that we can't easily figure out what to do. And the whole essence of Neptune is to let go and surrender. Sometimes we just literally have to hand it over. That phrase, let go and let God, regardless of what our religious, spiritual thinking is, I think works so well here. Just hand it over. I can't cope. That's the kind of and thoughts that are going to come up for people. It's too much. I can't handle it. I can't cope. No more. I can't take any more. Let it go. Drop your bundle. Just say, that's it. I'm shutting up shop for a day or two. I'm not going to do anything. If that's what's coming up for people, But the other thing I want to say about this is it's actually quite beautiful having Neptune here with Venus. Venus is the heart, the love principle, the goddess of beauty. What an amazing time for those who have any kind of creative, artistic activities in their life, whether it's photography, dance, music, painting, drawing, whatever it is. What an amazing time if you can put aside some days to do that, because the inspiration of the muse is well and truly available.
Cool. Could do with some of that.
Yes, exactly. Like just get out of our head, put all the office work, the thinking brain, that left brain, just give it a rest, get into the right brain zone. Anything that's, is spiritually nourishing, and anything that is creatively really nourishing for us, whatever that is for us all. Just even if you just sit there and you're just doodling, listening to lovely music with your colored pencils, fantastic. Get creative, tune in, let go. It's really quite beautiful. One little point I will also make here, when Venus is in Pisces, which she is for 3 or 4 weeks, and that's where she is now, especially when it comes to Neptune, if we meet someone and just fall head over heels in love, just take it easy, because this energy can make us really prone to fantasy and illusion. And, we kind of looking at life through rose-colored glasses. We've got the veils covering our clear seeing. So there's a tendency to that with this kind of energy. So it doesn't mean you don't go and enjoy yourself. And if you have a beautiful partner, get romantic for those few days, just have a lovely go to the beach, take some days off, sip wine, eat lovely food, sleep in, in an ideal world, that's what we'd all be doing.
It's really interesting how we intuitively follow the energy of the planets, because while you're talking, I've just realized, remembered that next week, I think it starts this weekend, because we've got new moon in Pisces on Saturday, and all of next week is the Beyond the Sand Festival down at Surfers Paradise on the Gold Coast in Queensland. And it's where people come together from all over Australia, maybe New Zealand, I don't really know. And they create these beautiful sand sculptures on the forefront of the beach at Surfers Paradise. And I'm going down there to spend a night or two down there to enjoy that. But isn't it interesting that it falls when the new moon is in Pisces?
Absolute perfection. And it makes me wonder whether the organised weren't aware of that and
Yes.
scheduled it for that time. Either that, or they just intuitive, or it just happened. It just worked out that with the calendars, that's the time that was available. And lo and behold, it's perfect.
Well, sometimes I think that people just, maybe it was a Piscean who's the organizer, and they just intuitively selected
Right.
that date because they are extremely intuitive, psychic, spiritual
Yes.
types, and they connect to their third eye chakra very easily. So you have this not just vision, but inner perception, right?
That's so beautiful. So I'm going to look that up. I'm just thinking my two little grandchildren, one of whom is like got 100 planets in Pisces. Slight exaggeration, but not too much of an exaggeration. It'd be amazing to take them down to see something like that.
Yes.
I'd like to see it myself, but just for the day, a day trip.
Well, some of the carvings are bigger than a room in a house, in a living. They're about as big as a living room.
I've seen images of them over the years, but
Yeah.
I've never been down to actually have a look.
Yeah, they're amazing. And there's artists who are coming and they're doing their thing as well, visual arts and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing
and
that.
The other beautiful thing about, so that's creative, highly imaginative, highly intuitive, by the sea.
Yes.
And the other thing is that sand sculptures can also then, when the tide comes in, they're just washed away. That is so Piscean. This is the sign of surrender, of letting go. Eventually everything is dissolved and released back into the one, into the cosmos, so all that sand ends up, it just all comes undone and disappears.
Yes.
And that's Pisces.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It would be an amazing time for people who are regular meditators. That would be, seriously, over those couple of days, like the exact moment of the new moon, if anyone's interested, on the 13th of March is at 8:21 p.m. that evening, Brisbane time. So if anyone wants to actually just connect in at that point, and you may use music or just whatever is your practice, you may be listening to a recording. If you're a regular meditator, you just go into your way of meditating. New moon time is often an amazing time because at the new moon, the energy goes very deep. At full moon, the energy is high.
Yes.
And at new moon, when the moon is dark, it's deep. And in Pisces, it's like the bottomless depths of the ocean.
Yeah. And the peace you can find there too, the peace and the calm, the tranquility, the serenity. Yeah.
So meditating on peace, find some meditations that are about peace, that's exactly right. And, many Pisceans often have an energy about them of calm and peace. It doesn't mean that they are always that, because the ocean's not always calm. Like your beautiful image is just gorgeous expression of the calm. But, sometimes the ocean's a bit tumultuous, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah. And I was thinking too that Pisces represents dreams too. It's a very dreamy sign. And I think, we are now currently having to let go of how things used to be, pre-2020. But we've now sort of gotten in a bit of a groove, and where people are trying to and will create a new dreaming.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
And lay down those, I guess you could say, pathways to those dreams, those aspirations of how we want the world to be on the other side of COVID.
Exactly. This is the sign of, of vision, of dreaming, of using our imagination to, dream up what could be. Now, of course, sometimes the dream is an illusion, a delusion, a fantasy. But Pisces, I think we touched on this last time, Pisces, as the sun was going into Pisces, it's the two fish. So there's always the two sides, as there is to everything, but that's very strongly represented in the symbolism of the two fish of Pisces. So the dream can be a very real thing, like dare to dream, as the song says, to envision our longing for a better world, a beautiful world. Why the hell not? Somebody's got to, like, that's actually what's available here.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, interesting.
And like, write poetry about it, like, find creative ways to express that vision. Yeah. Now, the other thing, as one fish swims down into the depths of the human experience, Pisces also represents, in the letting go energy, the dissolution, dissolving process, loss and grief and sorrow. So that's a part of this as well. I think with the presence of Venus, though, that's really helpful because, Venus helps us to really connect with the heart. And, if loved ones leave or depart under whatever circumstances, it can be very painful, of course, and there can be tremendous grief and loss and sorrow. But on a spiritual and soulful level, it can also be very exquisitely transcendent. We can enter into different states of being and consciousness in those moments over which we have no control, because Pisces teaches us that actually we don't really have all that much control at all. And perhaps a really healthy thing to do here is to let go and surrender to what is.
And maybe I think too, being such a spiritual sign, it prompts us to look for the deeper meaning in these sort of situations, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that's right, because in this sign, the last sign of the 12, there's always that connection to spirit, to soul, to cosmos. I remember years ago in my early days of learning astrology, the days when we used to have the fantastic Circle bookshop in Brisbane, and I'd go in there and spend hours, looking at all the books. And I remember once reading one line in this astrology book about the sign of Pisces, and as I am a Pisces, it just really spoke to me, and it said something like, a part of, not everyone finds it easy to be in a relationship with a Pisces because a part of Pisces always belongs to the cosmos. And I bought that book on the strength of that one line because I just could really relate to it,
Yes.
There is that strong, as the two fish again, one's always that swimming upwards towards God, the universe, one states of one, and the other is down here in the mire of the human experience, in the 3D temporal realm, the density of this experience. So, all of our experiences during this new moon are going to include, all of that, and it can be overwhelming, which is why, if you can get to the sea and just go and float down a river, or, just anything like that induces that state of just, it feels so good.
Yeah. I'm thinking warm bubble bath with champagne and candles.
Exactly. Because this sign also rules, of course, drugs and alcohol. It does. So truly, it's sometimes it's absolutely beautiful thing to have a glass of wine or a glass of bubbly when we've had a really big stressful week and just go, I'm done. I need a glass of something nice. But of course, this is also the sign of addiction and escape. When when and this isn't only for people who are Pisceans, anyone with Pisces energy or Neptune energy strong in their chart, there's a strong tendency to always look for an escape route, because it's just feels too hard. It's all too hard. So drugs and alcohol, addiction to technology, to work, to sex, but drugs and alcohol are a favorite one for Pisceanly inclined people who are not coping or who don't have things in their life that express the more positive qualities of Pisces, such as creative artistic expression and some kind of regular spiritual connection. Without that, it's very easy to go into so much overwhelm and emotional pain that alcohol and drugs seem like a really good idea.
Yes.
You know? So that's just something to really be aware of
Mm.
during this. Yeah.
Well, I hope that doesn't start any rumors about me.
I mean, I'm hopeless these days. Honestly, about 3 times a year, I have a glass of something nice and bubbly. And it's always because there's something happening with people and it's fun and it's nice to do.
Yeah, that's right.
I just can't sort of seem to physically, my body doesn't really like me drinking a lot of alcohol, which is probably a very good thing. Yeah.
So what
But
else
I'd
have
be
we got
happy to
happening?
share a glass with you one day, Cheryl.
Yes, I'd love that. Yes. What else have we got happening from the 13th of March?
So let's just go through a sequence, you know, as I usually do, of kind of what the story looks like. So the 13th is the new moon. If there's time, I might come back to that and talk about some interesting asteroids that are sitting right on that new moon, but I'll go through this part first. Then on the 14th, there are two astrological movements happening. One of them is that, well, you see, on the new moon, I said that Venus is conjunct Neptune. Well, the following day, it's exact. So that's just, you know, fine-tuning that energy there. But Chiron will be also joining up exactly with the first and the largest and the most important of the goddess asteroids, which is Ceres. And she is the great mother goddess of the earth, of the harvest, of the grain. You know, her daughter was Persephone, you know, who was abducted down into the underworld and so on. So there's a strong theme around Ceres to do with food and agriculture and sustenance and the natural environment and so on, but also, you know, motherhood and sometimes loss. So Chiron, of course, is the wounded healer energy. So this could be triggering, and when I say it's on the 14th, that's just the day that it's absolutely exact. So that energy is really playing out like for a period of a few weeks, but that's the exact conjunction at almost 8 degrees of Aries. So for some people, that might be experienced as a certain struggle they're having with issues around food, possibly, or dynamics with a mother or a child. You know, it can be, you know, mother and daughter kind of themes. You know, wounding, separation. Aries is often, you know, conflict. It can get really feisty and fiery. Yeah, so I'm just kind of mentioning that for those who are interested in the asteroids. Then on the 16th, Mercury, which has been in Aquarius for many weeks, and you might recall it went retrograde in Aquarius. So it's been in Aquarius for not quite, almost 2 months. On the 16th, it leaves Aquarius and goes into Pisces. So Mercury, the planet of mind and thinking, communication, words, goes into Pisces. Now, all this time while it's been in Aquarius, our minds have been like switched on because Mercury loves Aquarius. It's really like it's natural kind of energetic match. In Pisces, the mind sort of goes, what?
It can't get it together.
It might feel in my brain, you know, it can feel like that. It can feel like I can't string a sentence together. I'm confused. I forgot what I was doing. You know, I've gone shopping and left the shopping list at home, and where are my keys? And it can really feel like that, especially in the first couple of days, and especially on that date, on the 16th. But it can also be really beautiful for heightening our intuition. You know, communication becomes more intuitive, more flowing, more imbued with feeling. You know, in Aquarius, it's all very mental and mindy, which is what that's about. But in Pisces, Pisces is pure feeling. Yeah. So the mind is adjusting then to a different energy, and so when Mercury's in Pisces, our language starts to change. We start maybe communicating in ways that are more feeling based and possibly even more poetic. You know, we'll find our language starts to change. We're using different words. bit more poetic, romantic, imaginative, spiritual. Suddenly we might find ourselves reading spiritual books for those few weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, while Mercury's in Pisces.
Yeah.
You
Interesting.
know, or reading poetry, writing poetry, writing songs, or not wanting to speak very much either. The water signs, of which Pisces is one, are represented by creatures who don't speak and communicate.
Ah.
You know, the fish. Have you ever heard a fish make a noise? I mean, whales communicate and dolphins communicate. They're kind of a bit different, but they do. They have language. And of course, the scorpion of Scorpio and the crab of Cancer, they don't actually make sound. Many animals communicate and make sound. You know, we hear them all the time. But the animals represented in the water signs don't. And that's why water sign people are often very quiet. And when Mercury's in Pisces, we might be feeling less inclined to want to say a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's, again, I think what you were saying before about the dreaming, this really supports that very, very much.
Yes. Yeah. It's all about sort of living it in our minds and intuitively without having to talk about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, even on a kind of a healing, because this is a very healing energy, all this Pisces energy, doing things like just writing, just freely and easily, whatever, just, you know, whatever comes to you, just, you know, there's that wonderful exercise. I forget who the woman was. It's very well known, where she suggests that every morning, you know, you have all these pages of paper and pens beside your bed, and you get up and you write 3 pages of just gobbledygook. Just let it pour out and sort of empty the mind of logical, rational thinking, and just see what comes out.
Yes, I've done that, and it works very well because for many years I was a prolific writer, and I would just write. Didn't try and correct things as I went. You just write. I don't forget about the spelling, forget about the grammar. Just get the ideas down. Yeah, yeah. It's a great,
beautiful.
great tool.
It's beautiful. It's very fluid. This is very, very fluid energy. You know. Yeah. Nice. So then on the 20th, another important shift takes place, and this is important in the world of astrology. Every year we pay a lot of attention to this. The sun leaves Pisces and enters the sign of Aries. So this is the equinox. So for us in the southern hemisphere, this is our autumn equinox. And the symbolism is really important here because, you know, symbolically we regard Aries as the first sign of the zodiac, the beginning of a new journey. And Pisces is the final stage of the cycle every year. That's why it's all about surrendering, letting go, resting, tuning into the more sort of subliminal, fine energies. And if we've been able to do that, then when the sun kicks into Aries, it's right, ready, let's go. You know, the fire of Aries. And 0 degrees of Aries, that moment when the sun is at 0 degrees and 0 minutes of Aries is the moment of the equinox. And it's always around the 19th, the 20th, or the 21st of March. It can vary from year to year, but it's always around. So it'll be on the 20th. So and we'll feel it. You know, there is a new energy. Boom, here we go. And then on the 22nd, Venus will leave Pisces and go into Aries.
Venus in Aries. Ooh,
Venus
that's interesting.
in Aries.
Okay, tell people why that's so interesting.
That's interesting because Venus and Aries are very different energetically. You know, Aries is ruled by the planet Mars, you know, the planet of action and fight, the warrior, go. Venus, she's very happy in Pisces. You know, it's all beautiful and romantic and, you know, love and so on. Venus rules Libra, which is opposite Aries. Venus is about love, relationship, balance, beauty, harmony, peace, connection. Aries hasn't got time for that. You know, it's just like, oh, I can't be bothered. I've got things to do.
Yes. I'm
Yep.
thinking about people I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because it's urgent. It's moving fast. It's action oriented. And so Venus comes into Aries, and she has to kind of adjust now to an energetic that's a little bit almost awkward for her until she starts to get used to it. So our relation, because she's the primary relationship planet. You know, when someone comes to me for a reading and says, like, I really want to focus on relationship, my eyes go straight to Venus. You know, what's the Venus story in your chart? So when Venus is in Aries, or for people who are born with Venus in Aries, their way of connecting with people is direct, immediate, fast, confident, bold. You know, so we'll find ourselves wanting to step up, step forward, make contact, make connection. You know, when she's in Pisces, we're just going with the flow and things happen and we're not really trying to control it or manage it. Once it gets into Aries, we're ready for action. So it can actually like initiate new contacts, new connections with people.
It's one of those.
You know, and I find people who are born with Venus.
No, go on.
Oh, so okay. It's almost like people who are born with Venus in Aries, they are quite direct and forward. You know, if you imagine them in a social situation, it doesn't matter whether they know anybody or not. They'll just walk up and say, "Hi, my name's blah blah blah," and you know, "What's your name? And what are you doing? What are you?" They will initiate because they want to connect. Venus wants to connect, but they're going to initiate it. And they, in relationship, people with that placement, they need action in, you know, like if you're going to take someone on a date who's got Venus in Aries, do something fun and exciting and dynamic.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, so we're going to have the Sun and Venus in Aries. And then on the 24th, we bring some Mars energy in, which is the ruler of Aries. Mercury will be square to Mars on that day. So that can really, and remember, Mercury rules Gemini, Mars is in Gemini. Sorry if this, you know, just is too much astrological gobbledygook for some of you. Don't worry about that. Just kind of get the gist. And those of you who are more familiar with astrology will kind of follow it more easily. But if you just get the feeling and the flavor of it. So Mercury rules Gemini, and it's going to be square to Mars in Gemini. So that's going to be a day or two or three when our minds are a bit agitated even. You know, so watch, and the Mercury will be in Pisces, so there might be quite emotionally charged arguments and conflicts. Thing.
Mulling on that.
Yes.
Wow, that's quite a lot.
It is. It's like you can see that once the sun goes into Aries, suddenly there's this kind of Aries energy starts to really kick in and come through. Then on the 26th, 2 days later, the sun makes a conjunction with Venus at 5 degrees of Aries. And I'll just touch on this. This might be interesting to some people who follow these things. That moment of Venus conjunct the sun is actually going to form one of the points of the 5-pointed star of an 8-year Venus cycle that takes place. I've done a lot of work with this over the years and run workshops on it and so on. And so it's regarded as a star point. And it's related to the conjunction of Venus and the sun, and it'll be in Aries. What I will say about it that can be really interesting, like now Venus and the sun are traveling together, and normally there is some separation between them. So we usually see Venus either rising ahead of the sun in the early morning as the morning star, which she has been for some time now, for some months. She's been the morning star coming up in the east. Now, as she and the sun come together, when the sun sets and rises, Venus will be right there with the sun and we won't see her at all. And there's a period of time when the ancients used to say Venus has gone into the underworld. You know, this was related to the story of Inanna and her descent into the underworld. And then when they start to separate again, she will reappear as the evening star. And so in the evening, and that will be for many months to come then, she's going to change from the morning star to the evening star, and it occurs around this Venus star point, and that's the exact date on the 26th. So again, this is Venus. This is an important Venus story, and it's happening in Aries, which is ruled by Mars. So it's very interesting. So we're going to see Venus.
So what can people expect from that? What would, you know, people who are sort of tuning into the energies, what would they pick up?
Great question. I think that's, given what we've just been get this star point, I think for a lot of, there's already a lot of stuff going on. And let's face it, that's often quite normal in relationship, but for some relationship dynamics, look, and I'm saying with friend, a teacher, a child, your partner, you know, if there's stuff going on in a relationship that's a bit kind of on the edge, these things can actually trigger flashpoints. And things can really flare up, and things might get said that haven't been said before, or it's like, it can go like that. It's very, like, things can get ignited. But it's not only that, like that will absolutely, and I'm seeing that a bit around me already with Mars in Gemini, but I think that energy will also be a catalyst for some people to make some decisions and choices about relationships. And it depends where this is going on in their chart. You know, where is Aries? What house is it in? It could be in your career. Could be to do with your health. All of a sudden you just go, I can't do this anymore. I have to change this. And we make a decision, bam, and that's it. You know, or we suddenly, if it's in the 10th house, we might suddenly go, tell the boss where to go and say, I'm out of here.
Yes, yes.
You know, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's not only a relationship, but really, because we're talking about Venus a lot, that will be true for some people. But it's like a trigger of action, just going, that's it, I'm done. Or, you know, or I'm not taking this anymore. And yeah.
Interesting.
That's very Aries.
Yes, because I know someone who's just taken a redundancy. Bye-bye. Yeah. Had enough.
I do too. You know, that's right. That's right. And just go, no more. I'm done with this.
Yes, yeah. Interesting. Wow, that's a lot to...
Interesting, isn't it? It is.
It's a lot to cogitate on.
Then...
Oh, there's more.
It is. And there's another little piece. There's another little piece, Cheryl, before the full moon on the 29th, because on the 27th, the day after the Venus star point in Aries, Mars, the ruler of Aries, makes an exact conjunction to the North Node at 13 degrees of Gemini. So that whole period from when the sun moves into Aries at the equinox on the 20th, up to the full moon and including the full moon on the 29th, has this quite kind of fiery energy to it. Now, Aries isn't only about, you know, being fiery and feisty and aggressive and assertive. It's about action, making decisions, choices, you know, and new beginnings, making a fresh start, taking action to move forward. You know, we'll come out of the Pisces zone. Well, hopefully we've got to sort of rest and chill and empty out a bit, and then we're ready to go. So you know, that's going to look different for everybody, but the energy of it, the flavor of it is this. So then the full moon, and we're going to see this playing out in the public arena, of course, aren't we?
Yes. Yes.
There's going to be argy-bargy, you know, there's going to be plenty of that because Gemini, you know, Mars is in Gemini. Gemini's got a lot to do with the media, public announcements, you know, information, what people are saying, what they're not saying.
Okay, for me, that's playing out in becoming more social and networking. So becoming active with socializing and networking. Yes. Yeah. So that's a lot to think about. But I'm glad that it's not so as aggressive and challenging as what we've seen in the past. That's really good news.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not as heavy somehow. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're a bit sensitive to the energies, these are the sort of things that you might be feeling washing over you. And I do say watching because Pisces being a water sign, yeah, you might feel that. So, well, thanks again, Babula, for joining me and sharing your wisdom and your knowledge, your astrological knowledge. It's always a pleasure.
A pleasure. I enjoy it too, Cheryl.
Yeah. So until next time, when we'll be seeing people with the full moon and talking about that full moon in, would you say Mars? Is it in Aries?
In Aries and Libra.
Yes.
Yeah, the full moon will be in Libra and the sun will be in Aries. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Until then, bye everyone, and follow the star trails.
Bye everyone.